My name is Pierce Brown. I am the author of the Red Rising series, and you're probably wondering why I'm here. But if you're here, it's because you've watched and enjoyed the first 25 episodes of Dark Pulse. So I'm here today with its creator, Chris Seiter, to talk a little bit about the Dark Pulse, see some of his inspirations, and hopefully get a little bit of a sneak peek of where it's going. Chris, thanks for having me on your channel. I'm here with my goblin. I have questions. First off, let us cheers.
Yes.
I loved your stuff.
Thank you.
I think that it reminded me so much of some of my favorites. Obviously, Berserk in 1917 you used and described the series.
Yep.
But could you talk a little bit first about what Dark Pulse is?
Yeah.
And also your inspirations for it.
So the Dark Pulse is a dark fantasy horror story about a guy named Nolan whose family is taken from him by the brutal Republic of Calico. And it's all about what he'll do to get them back and basically how that journey changes him. But I think what's probably a little bit unique about the Dark Pulse is it's kind of an audiobook, kind of a novel, and kind of a visual video novel, which is a little bit unique.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about why you chose that format?
By mistake.
By mistake. All right. Because I imagine you sat down with the idea first, right? Or did it all come at once?
No.
Okay.
I always wanted to write a book, so I started writing a book.
Why would you do that?
I don't know. Man, you tell me.
I don't know.
Mr. Red Rising.
If I knew, no, I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
It isn't about me, it's about you.
Yeah.
So you originally talked about sitting down and write a book. Sorry, interrupt.
Yep. So always wanted to write a book, so I didn't know really where to start, so I started with an outline. And then once I had the outline, essentially I was thinking, it'd be kind of cool to visualize this outline. So I went and hired a bunch of concept artists to make me concept art for a book I hadn't written. And then I was, after having enough concept art, I was like, maybe I should actually start writing this. So I started writing it. And then maybe after 2 chapters, I thought, I don't know if this is any good. Let me find someone who knows if it's good. So then I got connected with a mutual friend. We shared Mike Braff to help edit it.
And give them a little context on Mike, how you found him. You told me when we sat
down. Right.
Because I was like, how did you find this guy?
Yeah, so there's a website called Reedsy, which is kind of for developmental editors or editors in the industry who want to pick up extra work or freelance. So I was just scrolling through there, just trying to find someone who could tell me, hey, at least put your writing to a professional quality level. And always have been a fan of Red Rising, but I was just scrolling through there, and one of the interesting things about Reedsy is they have the editors are allowed to showcase their work and some of the books that they've worked on. And I'm scrolling and there's Red Rising, Golden Sun, Morning Star. And I'm like, oh my God, that is the Red Rising editor. And I had to double check because I thought it was fake.
Yeah, sure.
So I did it, and then luckily Mike responded, and now 2-3 years later, here we are. After having written the entire first book and pretty much the second book, just sitting there. So
had you already written the book before you got in touch with Mike? Or you said you already
just a couple of chapters, had the whole thing outlined, but I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses. I don't know if what I was doing was correct. So I wanted an industry professional to help guide me.
It's amazing how much more confidence you can get once you almost permission you're on the right track. Yeah.
You're
like, I'm not that dumb?
Yeah, exactly. You start second guessing yourself. This can't possibly be good. And then you have writer friends that you show it to, and they're like, I've found that writer friends tend to criticize everything. Yeah. And it's kind of I don't know if that's really constructive.
Well, there's writer friends, then there's the writer friend.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, imagine the big thing for you probably is being enabled by someone who also loves the same kind of influences on Dark Pulse that you do. Yeah. So let's dive into some of these influences.
Yeah, I think probably, weirdly enough, you pull it up,
use the prop.
Yeah, there we go.
That is one of the best mangas ever made.
Got it, yeah. So, Berserk, only the Golden Age stuff. I was really inspired by the Golden Age stuff.
The anime or the manga? Which side?
Man, I read everything. Yeah. So I watched the movies first, and then read all of the manga, and then watched the original anime, the anime that, cut off. Very abrupt. Yeah. I really love the vibe of the Golden Age arc in the manga, so I really wanted to structure a story that was kind of like hitting that, but just with a lot of different genres and elements. While Berserk is like a medieval type environment, the Dark Pulse is more so World War I, Civil War type. Dances with Wolves is maybe another. There's a pretty interesting scene coming up in part 2 or season 2 of the Dark Pulse that really is heavily inspired by a scene from Dances with Wolves. Also, maybe a little bit of the Dark Tower. I always kind of like the gunslinger following the man in the black. That was always kind of cool. So you just kind of take all your references and just kind of melt it into something.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about that gumbo and being surprised.
Yeah.
Like, I guess that was an influence. I didn't know it.
Yeah, but I think for me, the North Star was just the philosophical conflict of how far a man is willing to go for his family, and basically how that journey will just change him, not always for the better. So,
well, I think that's one of the things that drew me to the Dark Pulse. Well, for those of you who have not read Berserk, Berserk is special, to me at least, because of its willingness to delve into the dark. It's basically about a man who's betrayed who has to fight demons. And while Berserk follows that investigation of a man's pathos, what he'll do to seek revenge,
right.
Yours is a chase towards the light.
Yeah.
Which made me also think of Cormac McCarthy's The Road.
Road is a great reference.
And we talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And do you feel as though how do I say it? What makes yours different, I guess, from these almost like the post-apocalyptic nature of the Road?
Well, I think actually just the medium itself kind of makes it different. It's also first-person perspective, so you're kind of getting internally into the character's thoughts and how that's affecting him going forward. But we don't always just focus on Nolan. We also focus on a Cassandra as a secondary character, and kind of seeing her POV throughout it, I'm hoping broadens the world a little bit. And it's crazy, I'm like, I don't know how to write women, but I think Cassandra's like one of the most popular, like comment-wise on some of the Spotify stuff, we get like Cassandra comments all the time.
And it's fun to sometimes do that tonal shift, right? Because you're so much in Nolan's head, and Nolan's head is somewhat of a dark one.
Yeah.
And it's like a dark confessional in a way.
Yeah.
So I want to pop back out a little bit and talk about your process and when you're actually putting it together before moving on a little bit to some of your collaborators.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your process.
Okay.
When you're putting this together, obviously I know how you write a book. Well, I figure it out each time I write a book. Right? I ostensibly know how I write books, which is usually like Jackson Pollock, right? Throwing things at the wall, then scraping off the things that don't work. When you're putting this together, are you thinking about it almost like a director with regard to framing it scene by scene, like the visuals you want because you're commissioning artists?
Yeah.
Or are you thinking about it in the narrative sense, first off? Like in terms of outline, then the text, character journey? Take me through a little of the process.
Yeah, I would say it's more of a hybrid between the two. I don't think I'm good just wandering aimlessly, because I don't think if you're walking towards a North Star, at least you're walking in that direction. But if you're just like, I'm going to wander aimlessly, you could end up way over there with not anything close to your attention.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, me too.
I know. It's kind of like, if you ever read those, I remember reading these Forbes articles when I was a kid of like what a CEO does in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't wake up at 4 a.m. and run 2 hours in the treadmill while processing like 20 books of information.
Yeah, it's funny how many say the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And that's the ideal, but we have your ideal and then what actually happens.
Yeah.
Right? And so does your idea of what should happen cling to your ideal? Do they match up?
Yeah, I would say probably having North Star to go towards. So I started with with an outline, and then when you get someone professional on, they're like, "Yeah, this outline sucks." So like, here are the parts that work. Here are the parts that didn't work. We're gonna like basically rewrite the whole thing. So rewriting the outline and then sort of just taking it chapter by chapter. But instead of looking at it like, chapter 1, you look at it as a scene. You have the beginning, the middle, and the end.
And I think like Dark Pulse, you're on 25 episodes.
25.
How many more are you doing?
Yeah, so originally it was written as a book, and then it just kind of evolved into something else, which is more of like an audio drama with visual elements, lots of visual elements. But the book is originally I wrote 83 chapters, and then I was like, I want more. So then
could you give me a word count, or like or page count?
I don't know if the word count exactly, but the page count would be like 666.
Okay,
pages.
so like we're up mid upper tier fantasy novel. Yeah, a clocker.
I want to say it's like 24 to 30 hours for the first.
That sounds right in about a narration. Yeah.
And then the second one, which is written, but only like a first pass.
So then you broke down the book into these episodes.
Yeah. So
is it a chapter and episode?
Well, a big theme of the story is the season. So you'll hear Nolan often say like, "Oh, season 6." That's basically him cursing. But like he believes in these 4 seasons. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to divide book 1 up into each one of the seasons. So, it starts with autumn, then winter.
Well, I think the transitions are really beautiful in it.
Yeah. It's really cool, too, because you get, like, these little... every time, like, a new season starts, which is also kind of convenient, like, season 1 is finished. Let's go to season 2.
Well, it helps you... How would I say it? Finding a vehicle to pass time.
There you go.
Is tricky.
But, yeah, you get, like...
passive tense,
You get, like, a little bit of... a flash forward. I always liked the trope in anime when like there'd be like a time skip. And
that's what this reminds me so much.
It's So it's like kind of me a version of that.
And you can do so much work on the character development or world development in that time.
Yeah, you can.
He's now an adept in the sword.
Yeah, he's like leveled up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. It's an easy level up. I love that. But we're going to take it back to the collaborators you worked with. So in the age of AI, where you can just put something into a prompt and have art. And, some of this art is quite good. But the question is, why were you so interested in hiring artists? Because that's a time sink.
Yeah.
A money suck.
Mostly money suck, yeah.
And a hassle. Because now you're dealing with someone else's vision, not necessarily adhering to your own.
Yeah, we have a lot of really talented artists that were involved in this project. I feel really bad for them. The AI art coming in basically stole a lot of the junior artists' jobs. But ironically enough, I don't think the AI art, when I started this project, was, I think, a little bit past the pandemic. I don't think it had hit.
Yeah, it was probably about a year and a half until like Mid-Journey dropped.
Yeah. I remember one of my artists is the one who showed me Mid-Journey.
Oh, yeah?
And I was like, hey, are you like worried about this? And he's like, yeah, I'm really, really worried about this.
Sure.
And he was like a senior concept artist for an actual studio. So initially I just worked with him one-on-one for a really long time. His name was Simon Cowell, actually. Not after that.
I would love it if that was his real job.
He's that would be funny.
Yeah.
He's actually this Australian, really talented artist. And I initially, when I wanted to get art done, I interviewed like 4 or 5 different people and basically paid them just to kind of like see if their vision aligned with mine and what I wanted the art to look like. And man, you get all sorts of different, what you were just saying about.
Yeah.
But Simon's was like, that's it. That's exactly what I wanted. So I went forward with him and bringing him on board.
I imagine that almost helped clarify your vision.
Helped clarify the vision. And he was the one that said like, hey, I know you want to do this thing where you're like, so initially the idea was like, all right, I'm going to write a book and then I'm going to put one like full spread image per chapter. So it's kind of like the idea would be like someone's reading through and they get like rewarded to get to the beginning or the end of a chapter with a big event in the chapter. But then after kind of realizing like, hey, I think I might want to just do this myself. I was talking to Simon about it. He was like, hey, you should bring other people on because like, I can't do all the art that's required to do like your vision. So then I started hiring other junior artists and it was really helpful to have Simon's paintings to be like, hey, mimic this style.
Sure, the North Star.
And not all of them could, I found. So I think that was actually the hardest part of trying to find someone that can mimic that style. And the person that I found couldn't mimic it perfectly at first, but eventually after maybe like 6 months, it would be really hard to distinguish between the two. And it was kind of like a level up. So then we had lots of art coming in, and the idea is I wanted to have someone click on a Dark Pulse episode and feel like they could watch it in addition to listen to it. And here we are.
Yeah, it's this mixed medium format that I find really interesting.
Yeah.
Right? And I think some of the difficulties, and we've talked about this, the difficulty of working on it in YouTube. Or having people view it through YouTube, and then the different listening habits in YouTube versus Spotify.
Right.
I almost feel like the ideal form would be like a physical copy you get,
Yeah.
right? And you're listening to it at the same time.
I mean, like, I don't know about you, but when I'm reading at Amazon, like on Kindle or something, I'll sync the audio to the.
I've heard people do this.
I will literally, and it's the only way I can like figure out what's happening.
Are you an audio listener? Like, you asked about.
I listen to audiobooks all the time, but I'm definitely more of a visual.
Oh, you are, okay.
Like, if I were to prefer, I would just read constantly. But I find that I actually like absorb the information if I can have both at once. But that would make sense, right?
All right, so we talked a bit about the artists you had join the crew, but I kind of want to get a picture of your overall group of collaborators.
Yeah.
Could you tell me how many people you had working with you, but also the different sections? We had artists. Who else do we have?
Yeah, I think probably the easiest place to start, obviously, is Mike. There's me. There's Mike. I think that was kind of like the writer's room, I guess you could say, even though I was doing all the actual writing. As far as voice actors go, we had a voice actor named Nick Boley for Nolan. We had Lauren for Cassandra. And then we have, recently I added a new voice actor to do lots of different voices.
A chameleon.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Man, you were talking earlier about like how you got...
Oh, that's when I realized I couldn't do it.
Right.
Yeah, because I can do a lot of voices. I cannot keep them consistent.
Yeah. So this guy, his name is Morgan. He's so good. I mean, like just doing all the different voices. And so obviously Morgan, and then we ended up having, I think, 3 different artists. We had Simon, who I mentioned. We had AJ, who was basically ended up doing a lot of the heavy lifting off of Simon's work. And then we had, for a while, a guy named Rain. Rain.
Cool.
Yeah. And I think that pretty much rounded the team out. We were working on it for maybe like 12 months before we released the first 15 in the visual style.
Yeah.
And then we kind of caught up, and all I have, because it takes a long time to do this.
Well, I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine, but like,
yeah.
And that's kind of like the question is like, was this team pretty spread out? Because they're not all in the same city.
Australia, we had U.S. based, Australia based, Philippines. Obviously, I think that might be it, actually. Just so, yeah, spread out.
Did you have any experience in project management before this, or was this all learning on the fly?
I do have some. Actually, in my actual day job, I'm managing a really large team spread out over basically the same amount.
Okay,
so
all right.
I had a little bit of experience. I definitely leveraged
I'd
that.
have panic attacks if I had to do all this. Like, put this together. Putting it together in books hard enough, right?
Yeah.
And I could be a tyrant about it. Well, okay, so in this day and age, I mean, things have obviously changed since you started. When there is such an ability for an individual to cut other human contributors and artists out of it, right? Now gearing up for the second half, like the next 25 episodes, I presume, of Dark Pulse. Could you tell me a little, and I imagine you're certainly going to stick with the same team and not go the AI route. Could you tell me a little bit about why that's important to you?
Yeah.
Knowing the complications, expense, without having like income coming in necessarily on faith.
Right. Yeah.
That you did it this way.
Yeah. So obviously, I think it's a lot more cost effective to go full AI, but I think there's 2 elements to it. Number one, first and foremost, I'm not convinced an AI can beat a human when it comes to artistic expression. So I kind of think there's always an uncanny valley with regards to anything related to AI. It's not perfect at potentially mimicking human yet, and I think that's even more visible when it comes to AI art. The only AI that I ended up using was I experimented to animate a little bit. So we hand animated a lot
to make the images you already
had
moved?
I did that with like a handful of them and did not like the results at all. And that was basically just like, I'm pressed for time. This needs to go out.
And probably also wanted to see it. Was that for transitions or for slight movement?
Basically
like
just slight movement, which I still felt kind of bad about, but
that it didn't happen, or...
So I would feed the...
it did happen, okay.
Yeah. I fed the AI a little bit of the original artwork and been like, hey, move this person's, like, subtly move them a little bit so it moved. But ultimately it was just like, this sucks. So I just went back to, hey, this is going to take time.
So you just finished season 1, 25 episodes. This will be your 26th on your channel.
Yeah.
A little teaser. What was your favorite episode of 25? Of the first 25?
I have a cop-out answer. So
don't say all of them.
No.
Okay. Because I'm like, no one likes all their kids.
Yeah, right. I think my favorite section of the whole story is actually the first 7 episodes, and that's because it's just this one.
That sequence is so good.
It's a sequence.
Yeah.
It's kind of
what the fuck is happening.
Yeah. Well, it's like Nolan's no good, very bad day.
Nolan's no good, very bad day.
Right.
I looked at it as like an ascent into madness.
Oh yeah, it just kept getting worse.
Yeah, very kind of like Alighieri.
It was so fun to write that.
I bet.
But it was very inspired by the 1917, like over the shoulder. I just wanted to feel like you're following this guy through the worst day of his life, and there's no cuts.
Yeah, by the end of the first episode, this poor motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, he's in rough shape.
Yeah. So the first sequence then.
Yeah, pretty much the first sequence. The first 7 episodes is my favorite.
So is there anything as sexy for you coming up in the next 25?
Yeah, I would say.
Can you tell without getting spoilers?
Let's just say it was heavily inspired by a scene from Dances with Wolves.
Okay.
But it's not at all like Dances with Wolves.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to give.
That is cryptic.
Yeah.
Not spoiler at all. Okay, great. Unless we're eating buffalo hearts.
Yeah.
I figured that might be the scene. Is there anything particularly thematically, and also perhaps with characters, or with narrative, or even with the artistic style itself that you're excited about treading new ground on in the next episodes?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like the first season was just Nolan surviving. Like, hey, let's just survive.
Mm-hmm.
I think the real core of the story starts in season 2, where we're starting to explore about how far are you willing to go to get your family back, and how that's going to change you fundamentally as a person. So will you essentially be the same person if you do get them back? I think that arc starts to really ramp up. You do start to see it ramp up in season 1 a little bit, but it really starts to ramp up in season 2.
All right, so hopefully we've entertained people.
Yeah.
Hopefully we've intrigued people. If they're not gonna, buy Berserk, I hope they at least watch your show.
Yeah, it's free.
Yeah. So how can people support? How can they find you? How can they follow along?
Yeah.
How can they promote?
Yeah.
Take me through the whole thing.
Probably the best place to find us is...
Tell these guys.
Oh, yeah. The best place to find us is on Spotify. So literally just type in The Dark Pulse on Spotify, and we'll pop up, and just give us a follow. Or you can literally go to YouTube and type in The Dark Pulse and find us on YouTube. So that happened. Hi, Chris Seiter here, creator of The Dark Pulse. You've just come to the end of an interview by one of my favorite sci-fi authors in the whole world, Pierce Brown. Now, I'm actually just still pinching myself weeks later as I edit all of this footage together. I just want to say thank you so much, Pierce, for spending some time with me to talk about my passion project, and thanks to our shared editor, Mike Braff, for connecting us in the first place. Now, this interview is meant to serve as the midpoint between the first and second seasons of The Dark Pulse, a storytelling experiment that I am creating along with a whole host of talented and passionate people. So aside from Mike and my copy editor, Hannah Richards, there are a bunch of incredibly hardworking artists. We have Simon Cowell, AJ Ramos, Josh Romanov, and Rain Madrazo, who bring their artistry and expertise from all over the world. And I want to say a special thanks to Nick Boley, Ashley Thompson, Alex Smith, and Morgan Thomas from Season 1 for lending their voices and their musical talents, as well as Angel Dio for coming on board halfway through. Finally, the film editors, Johan Martos and Jack, who cut all of this together. This project would not be possible without all of you, and I am so grateful for your time and energy. And to you, the reader, viewer, listener, thank you. I am making this story to share with the world, and to have such great feedback and response after the first season is so gratifying. I'm going to keep making this story a reality so long as there are people who want to experience it. So if you like what you're seeing so far, make sure you are subscribed, and please share The Dark Pulse with anyone else that you think would dig a grimdark story about a man with basically nothing left to lose. Now, rest assured, we're hard at work on Season 2 of The Dark Pulse, one that will see Nolan and Cassandra pushed beyond the limits of their abilities and moral codes. We've got so many cool things planned for The Dark Pulse, and we cannot wait to share them with you at all. So Season 2 of The Dark Pulse will premiere on October 13th. We'll see you there.